In a small, quiet town surrounded by dense forests, there was an ancient legend about the Whispering Woods. The townspeople believed that the woods were haunted by the spirits of those who had disappeared within them, never to return. One evening, a young woman named Emily decided to explore the woods. Despite the townspeople's warnings, she was intrigued by the mystery and wanted to prove that there was nothing to fear. Armed with a flashlight and her phone, she ventured into the dark, dense forest. As she walked deeper into the woods, the sunlight faded and the air grew colder. The trees stood tall and silent, their branches intertwining like skeletal fingers. Emily felt a shiver run down her spine, but dismissed it as a reaction to the chill. She wandered for what felt like hours, but her phone showed that only 20 minutes had passed. It was then she heard it, a faint whisper like the rustling of leaves. "Go back, go back." Emily froze, her heart pounding. She scanned the area with her flashlight, but there was no one around. She tried to laugh it off, convincing herself it was just the wind. But as she continued, the whispers grew louder, more insistent. "Leave this place. Turn around." Fear started to creep in, but Emily pressed on. She felt an inexplicable pull, like something was drawing her deeper into the woods. The whispers became voices, overlapping and echoing through the trees. They spoke of sorrow, of being lost, of never escaping. Suddenly, her flashlight flickered and died, plunging her into darkness. Panic set in as she fumbled for her phone. The whispers were now a chorus of desperate voices, and she could feel a cold breath on the back of her neck. She turned quickly, expecting to see someone, but there was only darkness. In the distance, Emily saw a faint glow. Desperate for light, she stumbled towards it. As she approached, she realized it was an old, abandoned cabin, a relic from a bygone era. The door was slightly ajar, and a dim light flickered inside. Without thinking, Emily pushed the door open and stepped inside. The cabin was eerily silent, save for the creaking of the old wooden floorboards. She noticed an old lantern on the table, its flame barely flickering. As she reached out to touch it, the door slammed shut behind her. The whispers stopped. The air grew heavy with a sense of dread. Emily's breath caught in her throat as she felt a presence behind her. Slowly, she turned around. Standing there was a figure, its face pale and eyes hollow. It reached out a skeletal hand towards her, and the whispers returned, louder than ever, screaming now, "Join us. Never leave." Emily backed away, terrified, and stumbled over something on the floor. She looked down to see an old, dusty journal. She picked it up with trembling hands and opened it. The pages were filled with desperate scribbles, recounting the experiences of those who had entered the woods and never left. As she read, the realization hit her like a cold wave. The whispers were the voices of those trapped in the woods, souls who had never found peace. And now, they wanted her to join them. With a scream, Emily dropped the journal and ran towards the door. But as she reached for the handle, the figure lunged at her. Everything went black. The next morning, the townspeople found Emily's phone and flashlight at the edge of the woods, but there was no sign of her. The story of the Whispering Woods continued, and Emily became another name in the journal, another voice in the chorus of the lost. To this day, the townspeople warn against entering the woods after dark, for those who do may never return, forever lost in the whispers of the restless spirits.